channeling your erotic soul questions. And I am Mesdeline, and I am your host for tonight. This is normally a place where you'll see Jenna Lee and Angela Shelby, but they are both out of town doing magical things. And so here I am. So, anyway, I hope that you enjoy this show, and I hope that you get something useful or something that touches your heart as we go along tonight. This is a show where you can ask any questions that might be on your heart, whether they're about sexuality, sensuality, trauma, spirituality. And now I am purple. I don't know why this happens, but I am also not technological. So let me try this one thing. Didn't work. So this is it. The purple woman. Purple is my favorite color, so that works out for me. And I hope it doesn't detract from what we're doing here tonight. I don't think it will, because this is about coming from the soul. This is coming from the divine. And the information that you'll receive is from the divine. I will be channeling information. I also brought some cards with me, so I'll be reading some cards, which will be hopefully fun and inspirational. I find inspiration in the oracle cards. And so I also wanted to tell you that this show is hosted by the Erotic Spirit Broadcast, which is a podcast done by Jenna and Angela. And their mission is kind of to address sexual issues and spirituality. These are two places where there's a disconnect often, and something Western culture kind of steers us away from, and religion definitely steers us away from, right? But we are spiritual beings in a human body, and so sexuality is a natural thing. And I want to talk about that some tonight, but I also want to remind you this is also a safe place to address any questions. You can just put them in the chat box, and if I don't have questions, I will do the cards, and I have downloaded some questions from Spirit that I think you'll find interesting, that I'll channel answers for tonight. So first of all, I'd like to just kind of set the stage for this. I'd like you to just take a moment and breathe, and I'd like to ask that our angels, our spirit guides, any ascended masters, and unconditionally loving beings who want to be here tonight join us for this. And I want to give gratitude for them and welcoming them into this space. And there's so many here. So many beautiful beings here. Oh. So I just want you to know something. And by they, I mean my guides, my connections to ascended masters, spirit, all, just want to remind you that we're all connected. So everything you say or do is part of an energetic connection of all that is, all that was, and all that ever will be. And I have to laugh because of this purple thing that's happening. And I also want to tell you that you have a legion of angels with you. you have spirit guides, you have fairies, you have beautiful souls who have passed over, ancestors and loved ones who are with you. They are surrounding you, they are with you. They want you to know that you are not alone, that you are supported, that you're loved, that you are just perfect, just the way you are in this moment at this time. And they want you to know that if you need something, ask. They will not interfere with your free will. So the belief is that as humans, we have free will, and angels and guides will not interfere with that free will. So if you have a need, ask for it. If you need some healing energy, feel free to ask for it. And you can be specific or general, but I mean, my guidance is, it's better to be as specific as possible. Like, for instance, an example would be you need some healing energy. Say you have a really bad stomach ache, and you can say, please, angels and ascended masters, please give me some healing energy, send me some healing energy. And, but to be more specific, you can say, please send my stomach some healing energy. Please help me get over this stomach ache that I have. And you'll be amazed at how it works. And it isn't always an instant thing. I have to tell you a story. Well, I don't have to, but I want to tell you a story about when I was suffering from some extreme anxiety. And I was going into a show where I was going to set up my aura camera and read aura photos for people. And it was a new event. It was a huge event, and I was just feeling anxiety. And I went and walked on the beach, which happened to be nearby, so that was good, right? And I asked my angels to please send me some calm. I also was feeling some nausea and a headache. So I don't know what that was about, but I asked, specifically for these things. And then I walked along the beach for a while, and then I got back in my car and I drove to this big conference center, and I was setting up, and I realized all that was gone. I felt so good. And so ever since then, I've been working with the angels, and I just love it so much. And I hope that you find some comfort in speaking with your angels. And remember, it's not always an instant response, but give it time, and you'll feel an answer in some way. It's not always the way you expect it, though. It might be a feather laying on the ground. It might be, you might even hear something audioly. Some people are clairaudient and hear things. They don't necessarily see things. So, yeah, just remember that you are loved. And call in the love and light. Sometimes I call it in as, actually imagine light, a stream of light coming down, kind of like Star Trek, when they say, beam me up, Scotty, and that beam comes down and then poof, they disappear. Only I don't disappear, but the light, I bring in the light and it surrounds like that visual of that you see on Star Trek when they're being transported. In a way, I am transported, because I'm transported to a place of healing. And the other way to do that is to call in that light for protection too. So one of the things that happens around sexuality and sensuality, especially as women, is that we receive messages of shame. And let me go back to what I do in the world. I work with the divine feminine, and I have been a belly dance teacher for 46 years and have watched belly dance be a powerful healing tool. Some people don't realize that. They don't know that. It's such a powerful healing tool. It's so empowering to women. And part of that reason is because it's a dance of the soul, and it embodies the body, mind, and spirit. So it brings spirituality into the physical body. It brings the divine feminine into the physical body. It's how I connected originally to the divine feminine. So I have a podcast called Divine Feminine Rising with Mez Deline, and I will be doing another season in the next few weeks, and I'm excited about that. I'm also an author, and I've written some books on belly dance and how belly dance can cause transformation, also the soul of belly dance. And the reason I like to talk about that aspect is the roots of the dance trace back to the time of Mother Goddess worship. So we're talking thousands and thousands of years ago, when women were worshipped, because it was a time when they didn't have science. They didn't know that men had anything to do with this. They just saw women growing large with child and giving birth to new humans, and then nourishing those new humans, feeding them with their body. And so that is the roots of belly dance. And so a lot of the movements are things like the palm tree and things from nature, um, things centering in the womb space, which is the space of creation. And so my mission is to be as divinely loving as humanly possible, and to bring a balance back to spirituality. So, being raised as a Christian, I would hear the term uh, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And later in life, I also heard it said as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And I had to question that. Like, you can't have a father or a son without a mother. So that's where I come in with my divine feminine work, bringing the feminine back into balance with the masculine. It's not about, oh, we don't want anything to do with the divine masculine. No, that's patriarchy. Patriarchy is something different. But spirituality, there's the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And I would like to see more of a balance with that. And the divine feminine is coming in more and more and more. And it's an exciting time. So if you have a question, drop it into the chat. And if not, I'm going to keep talking for a while because I have a lot to say. So there, in our Western culture, we have a tendency to see sex as something unclean, something dirty, something good girls don't do. We also have a tendency to think, oh, it's okay for the males, men and young men and men, to sow their wild oats, right? But if a woman experiences with sexuality, she's called names. And I've experienced that. I know a lot of women have experienced that, even though I never actually sowed wild oats. But we are conditioned to think that women are sex objects. Women are conditioned to think that how they look is important, more important than anything else. That saddens me greatly. That hurts my heart. And I have always been a large woman in this lifetime. And so I have faced those stereotypical things my entire life. And one day I got naked and looked in the mirror, and I saw a goddess. I saw the figure of a goddess. And I saw hips that could hold children in my womb space. I saw breasts that could nurture those children. I saw something that I just had never seen before. I'd always seen my body as ugly, as fat and ugly, and I'd been told that too. And then I think I was in my 40s, and I woke up and I saw I had the body of a freaking goddess. And we all do. It doesn't matter if we're tall or short or big or small or flat chested or big chested or big hipped or no hipped or whatever, we are women and we have a womb. And whether or not we ever have children, we are the creators. We are master creators. And so we're also beautiful, just the way we are. It doesn't matter what color our hair is, what color our eyes are, how big our lips are, or how, big our butt cheeks are, for heaven's sakes. Oh my goodness. We are beautiful just the way we are. Whether or not you believe in God or spirit or, just nature doesn't make mistakes. Sometimes we think it's a mistake because of how we are conditioned, but it's not. No matter what, we are all perfect just the way we are. That's something I really want you to remember. So I'm looking over here. I don't see any questions. I still see that I'm purple. And so here are some questions that were brought in before I started tonight. This seems like a simple one, but it's, is celibacy necessary or helpful on a spiritual path? Now here comes some fun. I'm going to see if I can make this show on the screen. But no, I'm too altered for that. So the question again is celibacy necessary or helpful on a spiritual path? The answer is yes and no. So let's see what they have to say. Yes, it can be helpful if sex is something that distracts you. If you haven't made that connection between sex and spirituality, then sometimes, taking some time out and having a period of celibacy can be helpful, because that takes away the outer aspects of sexuality, being with somebody else, being, worrying about how you look or how you act or behave, and just being with yourself, go into the inner, and what does sexuality mean to you, and how does it feel to you to be spiritually and sexually connected? And the answer no comes in where, if you are on a strong spiritual path and if you do have that understanding that everything you do has a sexual component, every breath you take has a sexual component, every movement you make, and so sexuality definitely is an aspect of sexuality. And if you already have that, then celibacy, it might still be helpful, but it's not really necessary, because you are, you do have that divine connection. So I think what I want to do right now is bring out my cards and see if I get any hits from that. Come to life. Sorry about the ring light. Like I said, I am not technologically inclined. Come to life. And what is this? A picture of a woman who is experiencing she's actually painting herself. She's in black and white, and she's painting color onto her body. And she has a monkey sitting there with the pot of paint, and she has a crow, or yeah, it's a crow, on her shoulder, watching her. And the monkey's watching her too. And what this is telling me is that celibacy can help you come to life. It can help you, it can help bring transformation to you, help you come to life sensually and sexually, spending that time alone and without a partner, and just being with yourself and feeling what it feels like. What does that feel like to touch your own skin? What does it feel like to touch your own hair? What does sensuality feel like? How does that feel inside of your body? How does that feel in your heart? I love it. Okay, well, let me take another question. How can women reclaim their sexuality as something sacred instead of something judged? They're showing me a woman in a bathtub, and there are candles, and there are flower petals and flowers floating on the water. And what they're telling me is self-care is the key. Self-love is the key. Our sexuality is sacred, but that sexuality is a part of us as a whole, and we are sacred. Each one of us is a sacred being with a sacred soul on a sacred path through time, space, and around, the universe. So it it's about reconditioning ourselves to understand that, to understand that we are sacred, that everything we do is part of spirituality and sacredness, and reclaiming our sexuality is about self-care. It's about allowing ourselves to feel, like I was saying earlier, feel. Allow yourself time out to take a bath with flower petals and maybe some essential oils, something that, that smells delicious to you, smells healing and calming. Feel the water on your skin, run your hands through the water, and how does that feel? Stroke your legs under the water and feel how that feels. And allow yourself to just relax, to just have a time out from expectations. Let the expectations go away. Leave that outside the door, right? And just be in that bath and smell those beautiful savory smells of the oils, and look at the flowers and maybe lift them, and maybe they have a smell, and know that you're worth that. You are worth taking time out and being in the bath alone. Maybe play some music, whatever you feel guided to do. Take care of yourself. Another thing is, walk in nature. What do you see when you're walking in nature? What do you hear? What do you feel inside? What do you feel outside? Do you feel air? Do you hear things rustling in the brush? Do you, how does it make you feel to be in nature? Go to the ocean if you can. Then stop judging yourself. It's like, how can women reclaim their sexuality as something sacred instead of something judged? We are our own worst judges. Look in the mirror and see the goddess that you are. And take the time for yourself. Take the time to be you, to nurture you, because you deserve it. So I'm going to draw another card. You might hear a dog barking in the background. You're not imagining things. That is Bella. The card I drew was Visions of Life Beyond Death. And at first that kind of threw me. And then I asked, what an interesting card to draw for this question, right? And they showed me that it's about how imagine a vision of life after death. And what they're showing me is that we won't be in physical form after death. We will be in spiritual form. We won't be in physical form. So I think the message that I'm getting here is enjoy it while you can. Enjoy this beautiful physical goddess body that you have. Enjoy it. Don't judge it. So I hope that resonates with you. It makes me chuckle because that is not a card I would have expected to draw for that. So one of the things that I do personally is I do get my nails done. And every couple months I get a pedicure. And I feel like I deserve it, right? I do spend time in nature. I do eat right. I try not to put junk in my body. And so I take care of myself, don't drink or smoke, things like that. But it's just about taking care of you in the way that feels right to you. There's no judgment for me, and there shouldn't be judgment elsewhere either. I mean, I shouldn't say shouldn't. But I would hope that taking care of yourself, you won't feel judgment, and that you will learn how to not judge yourself. So that I always, as artists and authors, and I guess authors are artists in a way, but we always are our own worst judges, right? And I have seen some beautiful, beautiful art, and I tell the artist, "Oh, that's so beautiful," and I go, "Oh yeah, but I didn't, but that part there, whatever." And it's like I wouldn't have even noticed it if they hadn't pointed it out, right? And when I was a kid on the Apache reservation, the San Carlos Apache reservation, I made a mistake on the beadwork that I was being taught to do, and I started to like, "Oh, I got to fix this." And this woman says, "No." She says that lets I can't remember her words, but lets the demons out or something like that. It shows we're not perfect. And I thought, oh, cool. So I've always remembered that and tried not to be a perfectionist, right? Let me see. So here's a question. Where have we been taught to disconnect from our bodies, and how do we come home again? So I think I answered part of that. Part of coming home again is, taking care of yourself. But where have we been taught to disconnect from our bodies? Let me look at that. Well, what I'm being shown is it's mostly societal and cultural conditioning that we receive from a very young age. It's not just my culture, it's other cultures. We live in a world of patriarchy. And so we have been conditioned to believe that women are less than, and that children are less than, boys and girls are less than. And to be honest, it wasn't that long ago that we were considered property. Women and children were considered the property of men. And it actually wasn't until the 1970s that we were legally freed from that. And so that feeling of being less than, that feeling of the need to be submissive to our elders or submissive to our partners causes a disconnect. That's what they're showing me right now. And that how we come home again is to recondition our brains, I guess, recondition our bodies, come back to our bodies. Because what happens, that disconnect is often caused when we're mistreated, when there's trauma, when there's sexual trauma, when there's some form of physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. We disconnect. And I know that my own story is that as a child, I would leave my body and go to spirit. I was protected by spirit. I was so blessed. I've always been so grateful for that. And so when I was being abused, I would leave and go to spirit. And I could feel that I was loved and that I was divine and all of those things. And I was just a wee child, 3, 4 years old when I can remember that happening. However, as wonderful as that was, it caused a disconnect, right, with my physical body. And so over time, I got counseling, and I highly recommend that to anybody. And spirits, my guides are like, yes, 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 right? To get help. Get help. Sometimes my help has come in the form of a wise woman friend or a wise man counselor, and so sometimes we need help with that, with reclaiming and welcoming ourselves home again. One of the things that I did when I was younger is I had a soul retrieval by a woman who did shamanic work. Oh my goodness. Oh, that was powerful, powerful stuff. So that is a way of, of reaching out for help. And it's also, loving yourself, understanding that you are lovable, you are worthy, and that you deserve to feel that inside of yourselves. And a lot of times we know it mentally, but we don't know it. We don't feel it emotionally. And so, what I have learned to do is to drop into my heart. Get out of my monkey mind. I am ADHD, and so I don't have a monkey mind. I have a bunch of monkeys in there and squirrels too, and they're all running different directions. So sometimes I just drop down. I just take a breath, drop down into my heart, and I ask my heart for guidance. It's amazing. So, yes, we have been taught to disconnect. We have been taught to kind of shut down, especially as women. I know that some men have been too, but I come from the divine feminine aspect. I can speak for myself as a woman, and that's it. And plus lots of women that I've talked to. Um, so, how to come home? Take care of yourself. Remember who you are. The disconnect also comes in, boy, they're just showing me all kinds of stuff. It comes in us trying to be someone we're not, trying to play a role that isn't our role to play, but we've been conditioned to think that, like um, getting a job that we've been conditioned to think is the perfect job for us, or we've been raised to believe that's what we should do. We've been conditioned to think we can't be a doctor, or we can't be an astronaut, or we can't be um, an artist, um, because it's either out of our reach, or it's not good enough, or it won't make money, or whatever the reason is. And then we try to play a role of doing or being something in order to um, play the part that we've been conditioned to play. And it's important to just be you, be who you came here to be. You came here to be divine love. And you came here with desires and um, ideas that only you will have. And so it's important to let go of that conditioning as much as possible. And I call it reconditioning. Like, I can't tell you how many times I told myself, you are okay just the way you are, right? Made sticky notes and put them around the house. You are loved, and you are loved, because that's how I feel. I am love. So be you. That is the most important way you can come home to yourself and reconnect with your body, reconnect with you. Because, we talk about all the time body, mind, spirit, or body, mind, emotion, spirit. We talk about those things. And for a long time, I was on a spiritual path, and I focused so much on the higher realms of being connected to spirit, being in high vibrational energy, that fortunately I belly danced. Otherwise, I don't know what I would have done, because belly dancing helped me stay in my physical body. But even with that, I still was disconnected. And so I had to actually consciously reconnect with my physical body, because there's a reason it's body, mind, spirit. We came here to be in this physical body. And so it's important to feel what we feel, the senses, the sensory things, and to be good with that, right? So let me draw a card. This is so epic. What was I just saying? Beyond the mind, the heart beats. I guess it's just validating what I said. Um, Beyond the mind, the heart beats. So come home to your heart. Come home to your heart. Love yourself. Because That was pretty clear. Okay, I want to just take a moment and draw a card just to see, what the message might be that may or may not apply to the question. Bring it into form. It may or may not apply to the question, but I was talking about being yourself and letting go of the conditioning that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you're not pretty enough, you're not skinny enough, whatever that conditioning is that you've received in your life, that's not who you are. Maybe other people perceive you as not enough. That's their problem. I want you to really hear that. You are enough. And if someone doesn't see that, that's their problem. Don't allow it to become your problem. Don't take it personally. There's this awesome book I read many, many years ago. It's the Slug book. I can't remember the exact title, and it never went like big time or anything. It was just this small self-published book that someone wrote, and it always stood out to me. It's stayed with me because I live in the Pacific Northwest, and I have for most of my life, and we have slugs. And you don't want to touch a slug because if you pick up a slug, it has slime. And if that slime gets on you, ew, it doesn't get off easily. You can't just wipe it off. I mean, it takes like major scrubbing and I don't know what it's bad. And so this book, the Slug book, was about how not to take things personally. When someone insults you or dismisses you or whatever, they're handing you a slug. And you can choose to take that slug and let the slime of their insult or dismissiveness stick on you. Or you can say, no thanks, keep your slug, right? And you don't really have to say anything, but it's don't take it personal. And that always helped me. It's like, don't take it personal. That's their problem, not my problem, right? And so remember that slug, right? You have a choice. You always have a choice how to respond to people. And another thing I learned was there was an author, Gerald Jampolsky, who wrote Love is Letting Go of Fear. And I saw him and his wife speak in person. And one of the things that his wife said was about not taking things personally. She kind of added an element to that. Always respond with love. So she said, if someone is verbally attacking you, verbally assaulting you, she said, take a moment and just imagine them as a young child hurting and crying out and reaching out to you and saying, please help me. She says nobody grows up with the, I can't remember her words, but to paraphrase it, it's like there's no child that says, I want to grow up and be an asshole or I want to grow up and be an abuser, right? No. So if somebody is acting in a way like that, they're hurting. They are not, they're hurting. And it's not up to you to fix them or to heal them or anything. But what I'm saying is don't take it personal. That's their stuff. You can choose not to take it on. You can choose not to take that energy into your own energy system. And it is all about energy. So, yeah, let them hand you all the slugs they want. You don't have to take them. Okay, and bring it into form. Let's get back to that. Bring it into form. Bring you into form. Bring yourself back into form. If you have a secret desire to go ocean fishing or to paint a mural on the living room wall, or a secret desire to write a book. Oh my gosh, so many people I've met, I really want to support that. Um, do the thing. Do the thing. You deserve to do the thing. You deserve to live your life in the way you feel called to live. And one of the things that I do is I always think, I stay connected to spirit, that spiritual connection. Sometimes I ask people, what is it you really want to do? And they say, I don't know. I feel like there's something there. And that's who I used to be. I don't know was my answer. And then I stopped trying, and it just started coming to me. I would ask my angels to help me, ask my spirit guides to help me, and and it was so simple what I really wanted. It was so simple. All I really want is to be as loving as humanly possible. I also want to talk straight too, but I want to be as loving as humanly possible. I want people to feel seen and heard. And it's not like I want $1 million, or I want to sail around the world, or what. I just want to be loving. And it goes from there. I'm looking to see if, yeah, okay. So again, come home to your body, bring yourself into form. I love that. Oh, here's a question this is a good one. Um, is sexuality for the young, or can we remain sensual and sexual into our senior years? Well, that question for me hits home for sure, because I'm a senior. And this is the oldest I've ever been, and I haven't been here before that I remember, right? Not in this lifetime. And I had one spiritual mentor who was senior to me, but mostly I've been on my own, and I didn't have any examples to follow, and so I didn't know what it was going to be like to be in an older body, right? I didn't know, and so the arthritis was a surprise, and I got a new hip in December, a new right hip. That was a surprise. I didn't expect that. And so being in this older body, I'm learning as I go, right? I didn't really have examples that were set for me. So I have to laugh because I was single for a long time, for over 15 years, or about 15 years. Um, and and I was celibate, and I didn't have, um, I was shut down in that way. And then, I don't know, about a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years ago, my libido activated. And I was like, I'm 70 years old. Why am I feeling sexual feelings, right? So that was a whole new thing for me. And, and I laugh about it because it was really unexpected. And so I can honestly say that sexuality is not just for the young, and sensuality is not just for the young. In fact, I feel more sensual in this body than I ever felt previously. And maybe it's because of the pain that I often feel, or because of being slowed down because of my age, although I'm still really vibrant and vital and want to be on the go all the time. But I am feeling my body more. And maybe that's part of the aging process that nobody talks about, is that um, we are feeling our bodies more. We are in our bodies more directly as we age. And so, and that goes for sexuality too. I love sex, and I'm 71 now, and I still love sex. So at first I thought that there was something wrong with that, because a lot of women I know, that are my age, they're not interested at all, and younger than me. And so I've always loved sex, so I shouldn't be surprised that at my age I still do. It's just funny how we get these things in our head, and that is also an aspect of conditioning. We're conditioned to think older people are different, or they're not sexy. Older women don't feel seen, they don't feel heard, they don't feel beautiful. To be honest with you, I feel more beautiful than I've ever felt in my life. I don't know how that has happened, but I think it's a matter, of growth. I keep growing no matter how old I am. I keep growing spiritually and emotionally and physically, um, and I want women my age to know that they still have value. Um, they're they're still beautiful, maybe even more beautiful than they ever were, because they've lived life, and they have experiences that they've embodied that create a beauty unlike any other. And they are the only ones. They have a gift that they can give. We all do. We all do. But sometimes seniors forget that they still have value. They still have something they can give to the world. And I'm telling you that you do. If you're a senior, you do. And if you're 3 years old, you do too. But as a senior, in other cultures, they see menopause as becoming a wise woman. They see that when you stop having your period, the blood stops flowing out of your body, and they see that blood flow as energy flowing out of the body, and that when you stop flowing, you're containing that energy, and you become the wise woman. And I'm not saying that there aren't young wise women, because there are. And Jenna and Angela, who are normally here hosting this, they are definitely young wise women. But what I'm saying is that as we get older, we definitely are wise, and we definitely have value. And I want everybody to hear that. And I want the young people to hear that, in homes where the elderly are put. A lot of times they don't get visits from their family. They're just kind of forgotten in our culture, in the Western culture anyway. And I love cultures where, you know, um, the nanny is part of the household, part of the ecosystem of the family, and not just put over there in the nursing home or whatever. And so even if we are put away like that, we can still maintain that sense of worth, that sense of self-worth, that sense of value. Um, we have a lot to say. We have learned a lot. We've gone through a lot. I had back in, I think it was 2017, when there was a huge women's march. And when I was a teenager, I was on the reservation. Then I moved to um, the coast of Oregon and lived deep in the woods without TV. And I missed the whole, feminist thing and marching and stuff. So in 2017, I went to this march, right? And there was thousands and thousands of people there. And I wrote about it on Facebook. I was so excited about my experience and how positive it was and how uplifting it was, and how people were just so filled with love and positivity. And this girl, young girl, like she was probably 20 at the time, right, wrote, "Well, I don't see what the big deal is. We have rights as women." So I answered, "Well, here's the big deal, sweetie. When I was your age, I couldn't get a credit card without a man's signature, my dad or my husband, and couldn't own a home by myself. I had to have a man sign for it." Anyway, there's a long list of things that were turned around in the 70s. And so, yeah, women, when I was a kid, I was my father's property. I belonged to him as a piece of property. I wasn't a person. So, yeah, women have rights now, but we didn't always have rights. And we still are not equal. They still haven't passed the Equal Rights Amendment, the ERA. Women still make 16 to 19% less income doing the same job as a man. So, yeah, we still have a ways to go, everyone. And, but we can do it. The divine feminine is coming in strong. And so whether it's angels or spirit guides or ascended masters or even fairies and nymphs and wood sprites and elementals, and oh my gosh, the list just goes on and on. They're supporting you, they're connected to you, and all you have to do is open the door and just allow that connection. So one of the methods that I've learned is the 3 A's, and that is like connecting to spirit, align, just sit with your spine straight and just go inside and imagine yourself aligning with spirit. And then you accept and you allow spirit in. And before I go, I want to tell you that once when I was on the Big Island, I've been there many times, but I went to a Huna class, and Huna is the Hawaiian spiritual lineage of Hawaii. And this man who was considered a Huna, he said the percentage that you are aligned with spirit is the percentage that he said being aligned with spirit is being aligned with joy. And so the less joy you feel, the more out of alignment with spirit you are. And I've always remembered that. So the less joy I feel, the less aligned I am. If you're in perfect alignment with spirit, you feel joy. And I left out an A in there. It's align, attune, get connected, and allow. Allow spirit to flow. Allow that connection. Anyway, I'm going to draw one last card. Our time is almost up. And I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I want you to know that you are loved and that I love you. Whether I know you or not, I love you because that's my default love. So let me see. This card, receiving. That's huge. Allow yourself to receive, because that's what will happen with that connection is you will receive bliss. Again, thank you for being here, and I hope you found some value in what was brought in tonight. And if you want to learn more about me, you can go to my website at medsdeline.com. You can email me at medsdeline@medsdeline.com. I am having a divinely feminine spiritual retreat the end of May. If you're interested in that, just, send me an email. And I'm very excited about that. We go out in the forest and beautiful cabins and have a divinely feminine experience. It's a great restorative time out. So as we disconnect here, remember you are loved. And tune in next week when Angela and Jenna will be back.